The disputes among Newcastle City Council's 6 ALP aldermen in the past year have spilt from the local caucus room all the way to Sydney and the party's head office. At the centre of the arguments was the question of cutting the rail line at the Civic. Despite the state ALP's policy to oppose any cut, 4 of the aldermen voted for a Civic terminus. Alderman Greg Hees and John Manning stuck with party policy and voted against the cut, but were reported to Sydney for breaking with caucus solidarity, a move Alderman Manning found ironic at the time.
It can be alleged and said that the other aldermen didn't support party policy, so there is a certain amount of incongruity about it.
The other 4 were then reported by a local ALP member to Sydney for allegedly failing to support state Labor policy over the rail issue. Now, 8 months later, the party's administrative committee is handing down its findings on the affair. State Labor's Assistant General Secretary Laurie Daly says Alderman Manning will be reprimanded in writing for technically breaching caucus solidarity. Mr Daly says the charges against the others have been dismissed. Alderman Manning was unavailable for comment today. The committee has also called for unity and better communications among the aldermen. Newcastle's caucus secretary, Alderman Dennis Nichols, says the episode hasn't been a factional fight, but a clash of personalities. He says he hopes everyone will now follow the party rules. Scott Bevan, NBN News. The voices of these young singers are making the critics sit up and listen. The Hillview Primary Choir first attracted attention when it won 2 awards in the Tamworth Eisteddfod. Buoyed by that success, the group tried out for the State Primary School's choral concert in Sydney. They not only made the concert, but they were asked to perform an individual item at the Opera House last week. Choir teacher Helen Swain says the success is a combination of talent and months of hard work.
I think they love to sing. I think also because there are some talented children in the group, and also because they've been a dedicated group and been keen to come to practices, which we've had every week.
She says the group is already booked up for the school's presentation night and choral evening, with practice well underway for next year.
We'll certainly continue next year. We have only one child that will be leaving. Jonathan will be going on to high school, but the rest of the group will be intact, and I know that there are lots of other little voices out there who would like to be part of the group as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
An addition to the family can be a daunting experience, bringing many responsibilities. This maternity folder is designed to provide all the answers from antenatal to postnatal services at the John Hunter. It's a handy piece of information now available in the one package.
Included in the maternity folder is this booklet from the RTA with a message for parents-to-be: it's never too early to learn about child restraint.
It's very important. It's very important for parents to know that they need to have an approved restraint fitted to their vehicle for their newborn baby, and it's very important for them to know how to correctly use that restraint.
Last year, 3,557 children were killed or injured on New South Wales roads. More than half were vehicle passengers. Figures show that 25% of babies under the age of 6 months are either wrongly restrained or not at all. It's these alarming figures that the RTA hopes to reduce with the new educational campaign for parents.
It's a very good opportunity for us to target a group that has been hard to get at in the past.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
The series has been organised as a build-up for both teams prior to next year's World Youth Cup to be hosted by Australia. And the local lads opened well with a win in Perth.
We've played them twice before in Venezuela. We lost to them in the semi-finals 0-0, so I suppose we had something to prove when they came out here, and we played them in Perth. We caught them on the rebound, I suppose. We beat them, and unfortunately we went down in Canberra the other day.
For Kevin Muscat, just the fact that Brazil is here is a real bonus.
Brazil coming out is the best thing that could happen to us because it's international games against the World Cup favourites, and as you said the other night in Canberra, it took us majority of the first half to find our feet, and when we did in the second half we played really well and could have got a result out of the game.
In Canberra, Brazil started to find the mark and scored a couple of sparkling goals to level the series.
There's only one Brazil. I don't think anyone can play the game as they can when they're on their game. And we sort of concentrate on Brazil. I don't think we should forget about our own boys, who is an excellent side, who can play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And all the ingredients are there.
Tonight's match should be full of brilliant football, and attack is the catchword. For the visitors, it's a chance to further develop football worldwide.
We are trying to put it also competitive in the way to develop the soccer here, because all around the world, the soccer, as we call in Brazil, football, is the number one and should be here in the near future too.
There may not be much physical evidence of the honeysuckle project yet, but in the minds of the 51 entrants in the community competition, the massive redevelopment is already a rich vision that has won over the judges.
There was vision. The sort of words like exuberance, imagination, comradeship, linking it all together in a vision. They looked at Carrington and Honeysuckle as the gateway to the city.
The competition sought public ideas for reshaping the face of Carrington near Throsby Creek. What it prompted were suggestions from all walks of life, for everything from a rowing course on the creek to an artist's village. At the presentation at City Hall, 5 entries received $200 each in the commended section, and 2 entries in the highly commended category each were given $400. The major prize of $800 was given to 4 entrants, including students from Carrington Public School.
Well, we decided to enter because we thought it could be a good to enter to put our ideas across to the rest of Newcastle. We think it's good to have a say because we're not just pushed to the sides.
The design entries will be on display this weekend at the Queen's Wharf Visitors Centre.
It was a night of missed opportunities. Fabio Macalino and Nick Radecki both unlucky to find the back of the net with these chances. Rocked by Australia's pressure, the Brazilians turned up the heat. The young Socceroos' defence lapsed, only the quick foot of Craig Moore saving a certain goal. As Australia turned defence into attack, the Brazilians were left rattled. Sloppy defence giving Radecki a golden opportunity. Jim Sakinas' shot strayed, and late in the second half, skipper Kevin Muscat volleyed over the bar. The Brazilians' frustration led to 1 red card. Andre Lewis sent off for this tackle on Sakinas. The final match in the series will be played at Marconi on Tuesday.
Scores of families were out in Taree last night for the traditional carols by candlelight, with the Salvation Army leading the way, warming up the Christmas spirit. And it was a festival of carols at Newcastle University, the university choir singing all the old favourites for the Yuletide. A treat for everyone, but especially the young, as we count down the days to Christmas. A woman going for an early morning walk made the macabre discovery in bushland just off Thompson Street in Spears Point.
And she's come across a body laying up here on the track. It's upset her. She's gone back home, and a short while later we were contacted.
Homicide detectives sealed off the area searching for any clues to the death. The man has been identified as Mark Stephen Alley of Warners Bay. He was 23 years old. While a post-mortem is yet to be carried out, police believe the man has not been dead long. He probably died in the last 12 to 24 hours. Details of an autopsy should be released tomorrow. Police are investigating the possibility the man may not have died on the scene, his body perhaps dumped there last night. Anyone who has any information on Mr. Alley's whereabouts on Saturday has been asked to contact Charlestown Police. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It may be the off-season, but there's still plenty of activity going on at Marathon Stadium. There's no sign of the players, just workmen carrying out more than $500,000 worth of renovations. Capacity crowds have threatened to lift the roof off the stadium before, but this handiwork was done with not a parochial fan in sight. The open side of the field is also being renovated. Tunnels are being built at the southern and northern entrances to the hill. They'll be topped with grass, allowing the hill to cover the entire eastern side of the ground. While it's good news for the fans, the Knights are also happy, with most of the $200,000 cost being funded by local companies.
Well, we're getting a large degree of it for free. These people have come in and said to us, yes, we want to improve the lot of Newcastle's home ground, to improve the performance in its own way of the Knights, to allow more supporters to get behind them. And it's just another example of how important this team is to this community.
The work will be completed by early next year. Matthew White, NBN News.
The 14 were rehearsing today for their ordination at 7 o'clock on Monday in Newcastle's Christchurch Cathedral.
They're going through their ordination ritual. Some of the things that they need to do on Monday evening date back nearly 2,000 years. They're really learning how to celebrate the Eucharist, how to actually perform Holy Communion.
They've come from Gosford on the Central Coast to Singleton and Taree to practice for the event. But for these women, the journey to the pulpit has been long and arduous. And while it's tipped there will be objections to the women's ordination lodged during Monday's ceremony, the men participating have no qualms about their fellow priests.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's the best sort of statement that we can make about women's ordination, that it's an ordinary diocesan ordination where men and women are being ordained priests, and whether they're men or women has got nothing to do with it. It's just the fact that God has called all of us to be priests, and we're doing that together.
As if coping with the death of their husband and father 2 months ago isn't enough, Don Geddes' family now has another worry: not enough money. While Alderman Geddes was one of Newcastle's most successful barristers, his council colleague and friend John McNaughton says the financial strife was due to Don being unable to obtain adequate insurance due to health reasons.
While he was working, he was a very, very clever and able person. He generated a very high income. But when he was not able to work, that stopped. And it's left his family in a poor position.
But there could have been another sadly ironic reason. The man who devoted so much time to others had little left for the balance sheets.
I would suggest that if he spent the time he spent on the community on other selfish things, he would have been in a much better position.
As a result, a group of the late Alderman's friends has been quietly meeting to help Maria Geddes and the 4 children and to ensure they won't have to sell the family home.
I don't want to talk anything about that. They'll be taken care of, and we can't allow his family to be disadvantaged.
The Friends are also looking at setting up a memorial fund in Don Geddes' name to benefit the young, a group that was almost as much loved by the late Alderman as it loved him. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
Residents of Martin Street last night held their Christmas party in Kirkwood Park for the second year. January the 15th will mark the 3rd anniversary of the discovery of copper chrome arsenate in the subdivision. The Christmas party was organised to give residents a chance to forget their long and so far unrewarding fight for compensation.
Just to give our spirits a lift for the kids to have a good time. It's unfortunate, but they can't play out at Martin Street. They have to play somewhere.
Further talks have been held in Sydney between Environment Minister Chris Harcher, Armidale City Council and their insurers, but a solution is still not in sight. Irene Thompson says it looks like legal proceedings will soon be the only way of solving the issue.
It looks like going on forever.
Angry was welcomed to the city in true superstar fashion, complete with limo and fans wearing angry t-shirts. A street march from the centre of the city to the Police Citizens Youth Club, where the Sound Centre is housed, started the opening ceremony proceedings. Angry was given a helping hand by organisers to cut the ribbon and declare the centre open. It's taken the committee 10 months to set up the centre, according to Angry, an achievement worthy of praise.
That it's taken a lot of hard work, which is, like I was saying before, it's something I've learned, something I really believe in. Nothing that's good comes easy.
Academy Executive Officer Shona Block has been overwhelmed with applications from talented hockey, netball, rugby league and softball players as well as cyclists. Although applications have closed, the Academy will receive nominations until the end of next week. By then, more than 150 hopefuls are expected to have applied.
We've had quite an outstanding response to the application forms for nomination for selection trials, so we're very pleased with the response from that.
Netball and Rugby League each have 20 scholarships on offer. There are 40 for hockey, 15 for softball and 10 for cycling. Selection trials for netball and softball will be held on January the 30th and 31st. Dates for the other sports will soon be set.
The successful applicants will be notified by mail as to their acceptance into the Academy as a scholarship holder. They'll be then undertaking a year-long program with the Northern Inland Academy of Sport, and that will include residential programs, particularly during the school holidays, where we'll have quality sports coaching, sports psychologists and nutritionists in trying to increase their ability as an athlete.
Wayne Stewart is as strong as an ox and hits the little white ball further than most. For many years, Wayne has been a dominant force on the Australian amateur circuit, and only a few weeks ago he decided it was time to have a go at making a living at the sport he loves. He was off to Brisbane to try and win an Australian PGA touring ticket. Out of 236 golfers, only 100 would qualify, and the lad from the Lake played exceptional golf to qualify in 9th spot with a 7-under 281. But the tour ticket doesn't get Stewart straight into the big events. Pre-qualifying awaits the talented youngster. Another who has taken a forward step is former Falcon big man Neil Turner. The Giant Junior has linked with the Hobart Tassie Devils for 1993 and has just been informed that he has been called into the 25-man Australian squad that will prepare for the 1994 World Championships under new coach Barry Barnes.
Stephen Jack was busy working underneath the Brunker Road site when he made the alarming discovery. Hidden in a box along with a warning, small cylinders of mustard gas. Emergency services were alerted and the potentially dangerous containers dating back to 1939 were prepared for collection by an army unit to identify and dispose of. It's the second chemical discovery on the site in the past fortnight, proving an unusual hazard for workmen.
I've got other subcontractors working in here, and if they were to step on one of those canisters and it breaks, well, you don't know what could happen.
The historic find is part of a discarded World War II collection of the previous property owner, believed to be a chemist and former army captain. A dangerous keepsake.
Well, it could have had very tragic circumstances, because if it is what we suspect it is, any skin contact with it can prove fatal.
Peter Smith says chemical finds like this are rare and extreme caution should be taken.
If they do find anything like this, they're advised not to touch it, to keep well away and to notify the police or the fire brigade, and we'll come out and deal with it.
It was a disappointing turnout for the carnival. Cape Hawke and Foster, two of the branch's strongest clubs, mustered just 2 competitors between them. But that didn't hold back the enthusiasm of the spectators or the other clubs, with the boaties taking centre stage. The highlight of the carnival was the round-robin open boat race, won by Caves Beach from Tacking Point and Old Bar. Blackhead's Tim Manusu starred in the solo events, taking out the open board race and the seniors surf race. Renee Quinn scored the trifecta for Blackhead in the women's events. Quinn won the board, surf and Diamond Lady sections. The overall point score went to the host club, with Crowdy Head and Blackhead tying for second.
Today marked the official last day for former Assistant Director General Alan Beard. His final task, to introduce his replacement to colleagues and community representatives. Helga Colby hails from South Australia, where she was Associate Director General of Education, responsible for the department's financial, human and physical resources. German-born but an Australian resident for the past 30 years, Ms Colby says she's looking forward to making a contribution, hoping to strengthen the area's education agenda for the future. Her role will include heading the Hunter's 265 schools, 75,000 students and a staff of 6,000. A challenging task, but one she feels capable of.
I think I can walk just as fast, I hope. I also very much hope that people will accept me. I do my best, I always have, and therefore I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not intimidated by it in any way, and I think the Hunter is a wonderful place.
Ms Colby officially takes up her new position on January the 25th. Melinda Smith, NBN News.
On the Pecolban Vines during the 1980s, Cessnock's tourism hopes grew. More than 60 developments, including one resort project alone worth $500 million, went before the council. But then those plans and some of the hopes withered. Since 1988, Cessnock City Council has approved almost $1 billion worth of developments. But due to the recession, more than half of those have never got beyond the drawing board.
Enormously disappointing, absolutely. I think one development we're going to employ 1,000 people, but you can't just throw the towel in. You have to keep trying and keep pushing and keep promoting. And
Mayor Callaghan says many of the ventures that have gone ahead are attracting more than wine buffs, such as the refurbished St Patrick's Church at Nolka Bar, used for weddings. Owner Damien Burke is putting his faith in his church and a pick-up in Cessnock's tourism by building an adjoining $500,000 reception centre.
If we don't get in now and do it now, someone else will come in and beat us. Overseas developers, outside developers.
With the numbers of visitors to Pecolban growing by almost 5% this year, locals believe the vintage tourism years still lie ahead, but not all the proposed ventures will come with them.
Not every project takes off because it'll be maybe fully saturated. And I suppose it's been like when you have a crop, you know, not every flower bears fruit.
Gordon Allen has a lot of work to do between now and 1995. That's when the city of Perth will become a football centre. Not Aussie rules, but that other code.
I'm led to believe that the West Coast Eagles are very dirty towards the rugby league people because the kids who go and watch the games wear rugby league jumpers, so there's a good start there already.
Gordon is a former chief executive of the Western Suburbs Magpies, and for the last 9 months he's been in charge of the Newcastle District Tennis Association. He joins the Pumas as chief executive, building a league side from scratch in 2 years.
It will be a matter of setting up, as I said, the marketing strategies to then follow on from there and attract a larger base of local supporters and sponsors from over there.
Gordon's not only kept an eye on the tennis while in the Hunter, he's also been spying on the Knights' successes after joining the Winfield Cup. And he admits he'll be taking on a few of those ideas when he heads west. Gary Cox was counting his blessings today, a little singed and with burns to his arms. The main damage, a bad case of embarrassment. Last night, when cooking on the family barbie, he checked the valve of his LP gas cooker.
Just saw a ball of flame coming out, and next minute I was back over there somewhere.
He was thrown 3 metres in the explosion. Fire brigade investigators last night found the connection between the cylinder and the hot plate was leaking. Gas built up in under the barbie, ignited and blew up.
He was very lucky because I've seen some horrific injuries, particularly in relation to barbecues where people haven't, through normal safety practice, made sure that there's been no leaks.
The fire brigade has warned gas barbecue owners to rub cylinder connections with soapy water, any resulting bubbles pointing out leaks. Checks should be regularly carried out. If there are any doubts, get professional help. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Twas 2 days before Christmas, and all through the square, bush dwellers had come for a great display there. Hundreds of families from west and from east turned out to take in the visual feast.
Oh, look at the platypus!
Oh, yes.
Yes, Santa again.
And Santa was there with helpers to see and hundreds of children to perch on his knee.
What would you like for Christmas?
Push bike.
A push bike? What would you like for Christmas?
I asked you, Cindy.
I know, but tell me again.
And told he was, and strode up and away to prepare the deliveries for Christmas Day.
It appears to me that we too often, particularly at this time of Christmas, might look for a fix-it God, rather than a God who, like the story of Bethlehem, came simply to love and heal us. On behalf of the Bishop and the Church of the Maitland Diocese, I trust and pray that you will find in the God of the Scriptures this Christmas, not the God of the hunter, but the God who simply came to heal us.
A very happy Christmas. Look again at the picture of Jesus in the manger, but remember to look behind it and beyond it to see the gift of God's love for you and the opportunity and potential that you have to share it with others. A very happy Christmas to you and every blessing for the new year.